welcome to Let's Get It, the Atheist Roundtable. Toss the mic, tell us what's good tonight. Get this man a goddamn cam so we can plan to crush tonight. It's murder. It was the case they gave him. Even Jesus couldn't save him. He believes he'll slay him. Murdershed Steve got these theists on their fucking knees. Ask T Jump where the Murdershed be. Where the Murdershed be.
Chop it up.
Why you asking all these questions? What are you suggesting? Why am I second guessing? Then GSEB surgically removing these hypotheses. Yeah, and get out the way. Get out the way. This kid don't play. If you got a God, I'd call him. If you got a book, I'd hide him. Just Jeff. Question so hard they'll punch you in the chest. So the best bet. Invest in a bulletproof vest. Oz, Ozzy, kamikaze. Run the track back and attack what we lack. Stand back, I unpack, get a counter attack. And the comeback, the sad sack. They should've never said that, said that. And faith is bullshit as a matter of fact.
Which faith is bullshit.
Man, we're going down and deep down.
Which faith is bullshit.
Hey, somebody mute Oz.
Which faith is bullshit. Which faith is bullshit. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. It's TART Live Show. I'm your host, Oz, as usual, and Ben G sitting next to me. What's up, my man? How you feeling?
Hello, and welcome to the Atheist Roundtable. It's good to see you, Oz. How did the show go last night? The late night deep dive. Yeah, tell me about that.
That was a blast. We dove deep. And so for those who don't know, Jeff has a call-in show, and he had one of our friends of the channel, David Gonzalez, call in, and they went on for, it felt like 3 hours on the show, but we were breaking it up, but I think it was about 30, 40 minutes, and we had a blast just breaking it down. And guess what? Theists, Christians, slavery is still not okay.
Yeah, well, and I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it. I haven't had a chance yet. I think it is about a 2-hour breakdown, and then the conversation obviously is elsewhere. But yeah, David's an awesome dude. I'm glad that y'all had a chance to break down a conversation with him, because things can get kind of hairy. I know that we had a conversation one time, and it was just like I was cutting him off a lot, partially because the answers tend to kind of ramble and go on. But since then, I've been able to have a couple good chats with him, and I know he's a good dude. He's coming from a good place. But I'm glad you guys got to break down a conversation with him yesterday.
Yeah, it was fun. There's a lot of entertaining moments, but there's also the other moments that are for atheists that are head scratchers, where it's like, no, that's in your book. That's still in your book. But no, thanks, Ben. We have a fun guest that's going to be coming on screen here in a minute, and I just want to say before he even comes on screen, he called you out, I know, in a little hip hop track, and then I came to your rescue, and I smashed him twice now, and he still hasn't responded. So I just want to make sure that the world knows that. But before we go any further, do you remember who's on with us tomorrow night, Ben?
We've got Shannon Q from our CAP country, the America's CAP, coming down here, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on, I think. Is that right?
No, tomorrow night would be fun, and she's really been looking forward to it, and she even retweeted it today, which was cool to see. So it's cool to see her excited to be hanging out with us. But let's bring in our guest tonight, Chico. Where you at?
I'm right here. That's kind of messed up, Oz. Saying I've made a diss track about Benji. Are you kidding me? I said he's better than me, the real OG. This is still some of your theist victim mentality remnants of that, where you're just trying to push this narrative.
I'll be honest, I've been real quiet since that diss track came out, and I'm sure we'll get a response at some point from maybe God will make another appearance and
Oh, there you go.
get you. Yeah.
God might be able to throw some bars around.
Ben, is that me or did I just hear a whole lot of excuses?
Hey,
Someone just
well,
Hey,
you
I'm
know
an
what?
atheist. I'm full of excuses.
There you go. There you go. What he said.
So, cool. First of all, Chico, thank you for always being in the chat and subscribing to our channel and hanging out with us. First and foremost, we appreciate that. But first of all, tell us. I know you've started to become active on YouTube and out there doing the atheist promotion and activism thing. So before we go into your story, where can they find you? Where they watch and listen to you?
Yeah, so I got 3 links. Obviously, TikTok's kind of where I met you guys, and that's probably my most primary, quick. It's easiest. One of my favorites. Kind of addicted to TikTok, just like it seems everyone else is. That's Atheist Chico on TikTok. Atheist Chico on Twitch. I just video game. I'm down to talk about theology, epistemology, or whatever. But it's mostly just gaming. And then recently I've gotten, Tam, the atheist mom has forced me to start YouTube with her. So, but no, we're having fun over there. We're picking apart videos about just pretty much any bad idea that we think is a bad idea. We'll go over it. Kind of a react channel at this point, but it's Tam and Chico on YouTube.
Tam and Chico on YouTube. You know, those video styles are actually growing. I've seen people do nothing but reaction videos, and they're starting to get millions and millions of views. So, you know, that's actually a growing format. So it's really exciting to see you and Tam get on there and do that.
Yeah, it's been good. I guess Oz kind of has me planned to kind of talk about my deconversion story here, but we just recorded a full, more detailed version that I'm in the process of editing right now. So yeah, should be good if you want to check it out. It involves a high-speed chase on my motorcycle with footage because I'm a dumbass, but we'll get into it. I'm assuming here at some point.
He said, "Because I'm a dumbass." I like how we grounded that. Well, since you already kind of started going down that road, Chico, you and I have only briefly been able to discuss your past and how you arrived to where you're at. So tell all the Tarsians here and anybody else that watches in the future. Tell us about Chico, life, circumstance, what happened, how'd you get to where you are today?
Yeah. So right now I'm 27 years old. I deconverted, I guess technically around age 24. But I'd grown up in a very religious, very fundamental. I would say at the time, putting my Christian hat back on, I was just a Christian. But it was really, looking back on it, very, very culty, very fundamental. Kind of a Southern Baptist, but I was homeschooled. I was the oldest of 4. Very much. My parents were don't go out into the world. Don't, you stay home. Don't interact with bad people out there in the world. The world's bad. Everything's bad. So just kind of that helicopter parenting style that I had growing up. But I had lived with my parents till about 22, I believe. That's when I moved out, moved to Texas, where I'm at now currently. Had went to work for my aunt and uncle, also very fundamental, very much Southern Baptist. I would say also culty, because I don't know. Religion to me is just culty, kind of regardless. But it's definitely on a spectrum. Obviously, they don't. My parents would look at my aunt and uncle and be like, "Well, at least they're a Christian, but unfortunately, they sent their kids to public school." So that's kind of how strict of a household I came from. But I had been dealing with depression. I didn't even know I was depressed. It was due to very abusive childhood. and a very abusive religion. You know, the whole hellfire, you're not good enough, you're worthless, there's only one person that can save you, which is just damaging as growing up as a child. Kind of losing my train of thought here. I'd moved down here to Texas, worked for a little while, got into doing some drugs, being very depressed. Those don't mix very well, as you could imagine. I ended up being very reckless on my motorcycle, and got myself into a high-speed chase, upward speeds of like 150 miles an hour. For a couple reasons. One, I was very kind of hot-headed, like, haha, I can get away from the cops. Look at me, I'm a badass. And also very, I guess, in this moment, the defining moment, I was just very suicidal. I didn't care. Like, I was looking for a very strong, sturdy wall to smack into and just say, you know what, this world isn't for me. I don't belong here, because I feel like I was a decent Christian, whatever that means. It's so subjective, but I was just looking for a way out. But I did end up eventually giving up, pulling over, and I got arrested. Spent 9 days in jail, sitting on my bunk, reading my Bible, crying, begging God, I get out here. I'll be the best Christian for you, God. I'll worship you. I'll whatever. And that became my mission when I got bailed out, and I was sick of the way my life had been. I needed to be a more moral person, and this relationship with God that I thought I had wasn't strong enough, and that was my solution. I needed to find God, so I turned to the Bible. Oops. We all know how that goes. My uncle would read the Bible with me. We do pretty much a chapter a night. We skip numbers because you don't have to read numbers. Everyone, no, so and so. We got so and so, but yeah.
Chico, if I can just jump in there, because I think it's interesting that folks like you and myself and others that have kind of those what could be or are life-altering moments, if you have that backdrop or the history of religion or faith, the automatic go-to is church or Bible. Do you remember what it was that triggered that? Because I'm still trying to figure it out for me. That's what I still don't know why I turned right back to that, even though I had went years, without going to church or anything. But all of a sudden, because I still, I guess, believed that God was real, I automatically in that moment of, oh shit, my life's falling apart, that I ran right back to it. Was it something like that for you, or what did that look like?
Yeah, that's for whatever reason. I mean, that's what I was convinced of. This is the ultimate standard by which I should be living, and my life doesn't look like that. So that's exactly where I need to go. And lo and behold, after investigating, it turned out that that's not the only path, and that for me it seems to be a path that lacks sound epistemology and critical thinking. A lot of cognitive bias there that I had to remove. There was a defining moment for me when that actually happened, and I remember getting home from work one day, and I was still depressed. I was still very suicidal. I was on antidepressants. I was seeing a counselor, trying to get help, praying a lot. That didn't seem to work. And I got home and I was like, I'm done. I don't. God, where are you? This whole life doesn't seem. I've been studying the Bible. I've been praying. I'm fighting this court case because of my stupid actions. My life seems to be falling apart. I'm not financially stable. I'm living with my aunt and uncle. What's the point of this life that I have? And so I was ready to end it. And I was there. I was naked. I was on the ground, screaming out, "God, where are you? I need a strong voice, a sign, a still small voice, something, a phone text, a phone call." And I waiting to receive my sign, because I had full faith that there would be something. And the silence I got was deafening. And I was telling Tam earlier today, there's like an audible click in my head, like a stick breaking, that I was like, oh shit, maybe there isn't a God. Maybe I have the wrong God. Oh, what's going on here? Something's off. And I basically came to the realization, this is not, this is a defining moment. God could have stepped in and been like, "Hey, Brax, we got you. This is what's going on. We want you to be a good, strong Christian man. And you've been struggling, and here's where you've messed up." And even if it wasn't Yahweh, it could have been some other God. And from then on, I could have had an incredible testimony or something like that. And I basically went, well, that didn't happen. I just wasted 23 years of my life believing in something that I have no good reason to believe in to begin with. So, well, that tears it. I might as well end my life anyway. So I almost went through with it again, but I stopped. I waited. I said, hey, talking to myself, hey, this is some new information we have. Let's chill out. I went downstairs, got some sleeping pills, not to hurt myself or anything, just enough to knock me out so I couldn't hurt myself. And then, I don't know, next few months, I guess it was 3 months where after that date was, I got the date on my arm right here with the atheist symbol, but March 13th, 2017. That's the last day I tried to hurt myself. And then a year from then, I kind of said, I came out as an atheist. I was comfortable with calling myself an atheist. But it was just doing my research, looking up what evidence do we have for the Muslim God, the Hindu God, the Christian God? Are the Mormons right? Are the Catholics right? And of course, I bumped into the Atheist Experience, saw Matt Dillahunty. He was a major role, because he doesn't play around. He'll smack you upside the head, go hello, and I was like, every time I would listen to him, I would hate listening to him because I would be like, fuck, he's right, and but it was good. It was good. It was the kind of slap upside the head that you need, and that was very important. I came out a year after that date with the tattoo, and surprisingly, it went decent with my family and my friends. I was worried that there would be some lashback. But I think most of them are just, oh, he's in a phase, even though I tatted it on my body. He's in a phase, he's questioning. And I still am. I'm still questioning. I still have an open mind, still want sufficient evidence. I want good reasons to believe what I believe. I think that's very important. And that's pretty much the majority of it. When I went, I did have to go to court still and fight my case for my stupid stunt, which ultimately did end me up in prison. It was either, they gave me two options. I could do 8 months in prison, or 8 years, 8 years in prison, or 6 months prison time and 10 years probation. So I chose the probation because I'd I'd rather be restricted to some degree, and still be out making money, being on TikTok. I'm a TikToker. But yeah, when I got out of prison, my family's tune had changed about who I was. They had broken their 8th commandment that's so important to them, and had spread rumors and lies about me, and had basically defamed me. And by the time I got out, I was promised a job and a place to live, just to get on my feet before I could find my own place to live and kind of go on my own way or whatever. But it had ended up being, I got out and there was some manipulation involved where I needed to confess all my sins, and you have to come back to the church, and you need Jesus, and all this very, very hurtful things. I don't want to get into too much details, but I ended up finding a homeless shelter for about a month before I had enough money saved up to where I could rent my own place and kind of do my own thing. So I'm good now, and I don't know. This whole thing is I'm very passionate about beliefs and how they can inform our actions, because they can be so damaging. If you truly believe that atheists are bad, or homosexuality is bad, or trans people are bad, then yeah, that's going to inform your actions to do bad things. And we definitely need to question that. And that's why I like TART. Pretty much any content creator out there that is pushing for critical thinking is so important. But throughout this whole ordeal, getting arrested and going through all of it, it was a heavy price to pay. But I'm happy to be alive now. I'm happy my worldview comports with reality more than it ever has before. I'm sure I still have cognitive dissonance hidden in this noggin somewhere. But I know how to find it. I know how to identify it now. I've removed toxic people out of my life, or they've removed themselves from my life. So there's blessings, and right now I'm in a very happy place in my life where I don't have to fight for who I am. I mean, I do, but like, it's not with the family members. It's always, I don't know. It's always harder, but I'm my own person now. And I have a belief system that, it's more demonstrable than it was before. So.
And Chico, first and foremost, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're healthy.
Likewise.
I'm glad you're happy. Before we discuss anything else, that's the most important thing for for us as a guest to come on and share that we just want to know that you're healthy, and happy, and you're still getting after it. So that's first and foremost. Second of all, man, kudos and props to you, because it does take a lot of courage, a lot of fight, a lot of will to get on and share on any, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, live, and share intimate details like that, especially when we start talking about one's mental health. And, most of the people that follow TART know, that that's something I'm passionate about. And I want to normalize that conversation. I want the volume to be turned up, so to speak, on that conversation. So, Chico, thank you. Thank you for doing that, and I wanted to say that. But what I want to do is I want to give Ben and Chico a few minutes to have a conversation, ask some questions, maybe even back and forth. But there's a lot of things that you said, Chico, that stood out to me that I think Ben will really enjoy having a discussion with you about. So there's some things there that I just want to be able to eliminate myself and just let you guys chop it up, and I'll pop back in here in a minute.
Sure.
Gotcha.
All right. Thank you, Oz. Hello, Chico. I'll echo everything that Oz just said. Basically, like one of the first things that popped up in my brain as a public school teacher, and we're about the same age. I think about like my experiences through public school and now as a teacher. I never had that experience as a private student. So what was that like for, if you could describe that experience, like your private school, or it wasn't a private school, it was homeschool.
Right, homeschooling. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
It was not great. There's pros and cons to everything. Obviously, you get to do school in your pajamas, so that's cool. But
yeah,
it's very, very, very biased, especially if your teacher is your mom and she's a Christian, and your history lessons are going to be about the historicity of the Bible. I mean, we did learn some other history stories, but it was primarily Bible. When you do your math homework, it's got some Christian, some theology twang to it, some verses or something on the cover by whatever project you're doing. I mean, everything was so heavily God, Jesus, Bible. I mean, it was there. I think my education has suffered. Most of my stuff has been self-taught. Once growing up and leaving that, I would say probably. I mean, I don't know, what am I trying to say? There are pros to being homeschooled, but it needs to be done correctly. And when you're stuck in a situation like that, and there's so much there's so much power, I guess, as far as for my mom, what she could do, what she could teach. There's also a huge responsibility on my mom's shoulders, raising 4 kids and homeschooling them. And when abuse physically and verbally comes into the school classroom at home, and it's mostly theology focused and not the actual course. My education has definitely suffered.
And I guess like I'm always interested in this comparison. Have you gotten to have like in-depth conversations with like people who were in public school? Were you separated all the way through, like from kindergarten through 12th grade? How much interaction did you have? And by the way, before you answer, I want to make sure that I shout out the super chats that are in there. All of those go to help support the channel. If you're enjoying what you're hearing tonight, and if you think this is important, that's a really good way to support this. But I am interested in your comparison, if you've gotten to have these kinds of discussions with public school students.
Yeah, I did. I went to public school. Well, I did private school very early. And it was a Christian private school, and I was probably like, I don't know, kindergarten or first grade. I barely even remember it. I did public school for band specifically.
Okay.
They would let us do that. My mom tried to get us in a homeschool band where all the homeschool communities in the area would gather in somebody's house, and they all play god awful music. It was bad.
What instrument did you play?
I was percussion, so marimba, drums, all the folly instruments. But yeah, I mean, it was she's a band geek, and she wanted something a little more inclusive, or a better structured. So She allowed us just this once. Oh yeah, okay.
I've got my drumsticks right here. Because man, that's my jam is percussion stuff.
Dude,
So
I'm so upset. That's the out of the whole thing that I lost the most through my ostracization is my 2 fucking drum sets back at my parents' house.
oh, you let or they have them
No.
over there.
Yeah.
Well, we've got to start like a fundraiser or a GoFundMe or something to get you like a what are those rubber drum sets? That,
Yeah,
that
I
doesn't make a
had an
hole?
electric one and I had an acoustic one. And they have them both.
Oh well, you got to get those
Oh, well.
back, or we got to figure a way to get that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's see, and then I think the next thing that I was interested in, you started talking about a little bit about your deconversion process, and I know for me, I had like a guiding question in my head, and I don't want to put words in your mouth because I hate these kind of like echo chambers. I'd love to hear your thoughts first. Was there like a guiding principle or a guiding question that led that helped you examine your Christianity at the time? And I know that you were going through like these momentum, I mean, like huge events in your life. So I know that I don't know exactly what that does to our brain chemistry, but coming out of that, or even before and through it, was there a guiding question that you were using to determine truth, or?
It was, well, from pretty much the day I got locked up the first time was, I want to be a better person and I want a relationship with Jesus and I want to prove it to myself. And so just going through that, and I wanted to, I didn't want to just have like, oh yeah, I kind of believe, yeah, sure, yeah, it's probably true. I wanted to know, and that was probably that was what pushed me to find out, because that's really what I feel like the critical mind really wants, is we want to know things. We want to be we want to have as high of a confidence level as we possibly can, and that's what I wanted. And so just going through that, and whatever story I heard about in the Bible or whatever pastor or my family said, I didn't just take the anecdote. I wanted a higher confidence level than whatever they were saying, and just going through that, and that was kind of my new aspect, I guess, that I didn't really have before. Is talk is cheap. I want something more substance than that, and I think that was really what pushed me. And then of course, kind of having to learn what a sound epistemology looks like, and what is the best methodology to get to that epistemology. That was something I had to learn, but I guess that was with that goal in having and wanting a high confidence level. That kind of was the basis of it, I guess.
How did you get that value then to even think about, man, I want to be as confident as possible? What kind of planted that, or do you remember seeing that? Was that a value that maybe your parents gave you, or
it was because I wasn't. I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know why God put me on this planet. What the hell is anyone doing here? What does everyone else have it figured out, but I don't? Newsflash, no one really has it figured out. And that was why I had never been really confident about what I wanted, or what my life purpose was, what brings meaning to my life. And so whenever, I don't know how I unlocked that, other than I demanded. I got pissed off at myself. That's what it was. I'm sick and tired of not knowing what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing. And my life is falling apart. I'm straying further and further from God, or at least so I thought. Let's go find this out. Let's figure this out. And so that's what I did. And I read the Bible, and I'm an atheist. So,
was it really that? So, you talked about growing up as in a homeschool, and and using biblical passages, what was it like in the Bible as you were reading? Did things jive differently, or so like as you kind of were asking yourself, okay, what do I want to do with my life? And then you go to the Bible and you search for that. Was it kind of looking through it through that lens instead of, oh, I'm trying to spell, I'm going to learn how to spell the word Babel for the first time, or I'm going to try to spell Genesis, and here's my kind of framework.
just about, just about.
Okay.
No, it was. I mean, growing up, it was God. God has a plan for your life. You just got to trust in God and follow God, and
Oh.
He's got a plan for you. And so, but also at the same time, you gotta do something so God can give you something back. So there's this weird thing in, I'm gonna say Christianity, but probably every religion, where you're supposed to let God drive for you and kind of give your free will over to God and be a robot for him, but also don't do that. And so I was in this back and forth of this cognitive dissonance, and that was really, I think, it, where I felt like I was praying enough, I was reading my Bible enough, I was tithing enough. Gosh, I wish I hadn't tithed. How much money I would have saved.
That's reason number one when people say, "Well, what do you lose when you go to church?" Or
You don't have
what
to
do you
waste
lose when
money.
you leave? Yeah, you don't have to spend money on church. That's for one thing.
Right.
So I think I can identify with that, like lifting that burden off your shoulders. Like when you say like God has a purpose for you, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I certainly feel this where I think, okay, if I had God in my life, I could just preach the word on every street corner. I could be broke, I could be homeless. I could just be preaching the word of God on the street, and I would be feeling like I was achieving the greatest purpose in life. Like to me, there's a burden that's lifted off with that realization.
Yeah. I
but-
feel like
yeah.
now that you said that I feel like because I didn't really know I was depressed growing up. My mom was very abusive to me and my siblings. I didn't know that was normal. That chaos was normal to me. I didn't understand that this is not acceptable. I was homeschooled. I was sheltered. I'm in my little own ecosystem. To me, that's normal. And that feeling of depression that you get, and where nothing ever was good enough for her, and I felt the same way about when I read the Bible, because I would hear from my mom, "You're worthless. You're worthless. You can do better. You're worthless." And then I go to church sermon, and the pastor's going, "We are worthless human beings, and we deserve fire and brimstone. You can do better." And so, oh yeah, my mom's right. Then there's my confirmation bias right there over something very, very damaging. And so I would go out, and I went to an apologetic summer camp. I did that 2 or 3 times. I went and evangelized. I handed out tracts. I went and talked to homeless people. I went downtown and walked around and shared about the gospel, the good news. I thought I was doing everything right, and I never got that feeling afterwards where there was like a peace or inner calmness of God, because it was always, you did something so good for God, but you're so worthless.
Yeah, it's like I remember hearing this story where it's very poetic, and it's this big thing like you can only do so much, right? And so that's the moral. But the story is like you're walking along a beach and you see millions of starfish floundering, or they're gonna dry up on the beach. It's in the middle of the night. In the morning, the sun's gonna come out and dry them out and kill them. So you walk along the beach and you throw in these stars, and at the end of the day, the feeling is that like, okay, well, at least you saved those stars,
Right.
even though there's like millions. And then you're also being told, so I'm trying to like mix this like beautiful imagery in these wonderful stories with also being told, well, yeah, those starfish lives were worthless too, so are you. So it's this totally weird mix up. But thank you guys for the super stickers and the super chats in there. Chico, thank you for sharing your story and having this conversation with me. We're gonna bring back in Oz.
Do we have to?
Oh,
Yes.
it's necessary. It's so necessary.
Man, we were having so much fun without you.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right. We'll continue this later.
No, great job, Ben. Great questions, and Chico, thanks. Any time somebody comes on our platform, and is this transparent and real and raw? It's nothing but love. Nothing but love, and we appreciate it. So I was actually going to come on here and just start dropping bars on you, but I was like, you know what, this is a little too serious. This is a little too serious, so I'm not going to do that right now.
I'm really emotional right now.
Yeah, I'm going to respect the vibe of the conversation, and I will say that I'm glad I got to kind of sit back and listen for a minute, because we do have a lot of similarities in kind of how we exited and some of the things that we heard that family members or church members or whatever said to us. But before we get into that, you had mentioned right around the time that I asked you the first question about starting to open up the Bible and some of the things starting to kind of like illuminate, so to speak, to you, or it's like, okay, hold on a minute. Am I accepting this? Am I accepting this on just faith and faith alone, because somebody told me this, or do I have a justified reason to believe those things? So in that process, what was that the kind of the thing that maybe started to put the cart over the edge of the cliff, so to speak, where the wall started to crumble?
I mean, I feel like there's a whole bunch of kind of things. I mean, even as a Christian, you have your doubts, but you're supposed to doubt those doubts. You're not supposed to have a critical thinking mind. Just push those doubts to the side. But I mean, there's everything from free will in the Bible, just the historicity of it, the timeline, the age of the earth. I mean, I was fundamentalist creationist. Things just don't add up, but you just still believe it anyways, because you're a sheep. You're called to be a sheep. Even it really wasn't that epiphany that really, because there's, for a lot of atheists, there's kind of this gradual like build until, oh, okay, I think, yeah, I don't buy this anymore. For me, I had kind of always had those doubts, but it was almost like a balloon, like all these doubts, and then that one night where I was like, where I need a sign, nothing, boom, duh, and that was really it, I think, for me.
Okay, so there was still a little bit of a, I guess the gathering of information or learning process, but you had that like light bulb moment.
Yeah, it was definitely a light bulb moment. Yeah.
And because that's what I share with people is mine was definitely a process, 30 something years being completely indoctrinated and filled with this belief. It was a process of trying to disassociate myself from that. But I still remember when I was sitting on my couch and that light bulb moment for me popped off, and it was like, oh shit, this is not real. Like all of these things, these things are not real. So I did want to ask you about that, because it's interesting to hear that, because I feel like everybody's story is very different, but there's still some very, very similar shifts, like at different moments, so to speak. The one thing, and I am very, very transparent about my experience with religion when it comes to the trauma, the mental health aspect of it, and just because I don't expect everybody else to do that. So if we get into this and you're like, I'm not comfortable talking about that, I don't want, just tell me, and I'll shut the hell up. But for me, a lot of the things that I heard you talk about, like with your mom, is like, you're, and I don't want to misrepresent, I'm going off memory on this part, but it was, you're worthless. Oh, actually, you're worthy. Then you're worthless, and actually, you're worthy. And whether they said that directly or it was suggested, through that. And then you go to church, whether it's in Sunday school, youth group, whatever, you're told that you're essentially a disgusting human being because you are born with sin. Your works are as filthy rags, so on and so forth. I won't waste any more time going through going through the text on that. But Chico, now when you look back at it, what those words that were said to you via parental figures or religious leaders, or even just from the text, what impact do you think, or do you know now at this point in your life, impacted you in your mental health?
Oh, I mean that's a huge impact. That was, I mean, verbal abuse is was a huge part of my depression. And I'm upset with my parents and the pastors, and I'm upset that the Bible is as immoral as it is. But I was a victim, just as I think they are a victim. So I can't, while I'm upset with them, I can't really hate them for that, because I mean, at the end of the day, they feel like they are doing something good. And I mean, it's just kind of a Stockholm syndrome that religion does to people. And yeah, it is a huge factor for mental health. Absolutely. Definitely damaging for me.
Yep. And same here, bud. Same here. And would you agree with me when I say that when it comes to mental health, and I believe you said you grew up Baptist, is that right? Southern Baptist?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. And they share, because I grew up very, very radical evangelical, which they have similar ties, as far as their, they can be out there, with some of their approaches. Would you say that you were ever offered or given proper mental health counseling, therapy, anything like that within church?
No, quite the opposite. I went pretty much by myself. My cousin, well, she is a Christian. She's very fundamental, but had a friend who helped me out with getting therapy and depression medicine. But my mom and my uncle very much just prayed away. You just pray. That's all you need to do. God can heal you. My mom, on the other hand, she's also very much acupuncture, homeopathy. Those things are real, demonstrable things that work. I mean, that's the kind of person that she is, which I feel like all comes back to the same kind of mindset, as far as, or I guess weak epistemology that you would have to believe those things to be true. But yeah, there was no help other than just pray. That's all you need to do, or be a better Christian.
Oh man, I could go on a tangent right now, Chico, but I'm going to try to refrain from doing so, because it bothers me, and not just for you and myself, but for people that are in it right now, that have not found the escape from the dogma and the turmoil, and the infliction that is put on to people that have true mental health diagnosis within a religion. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart when I hear of stories, and it's like, I wish you were around people that would tell you to just go fucking get help. It's not about prayer. It's not about faith. It's not about a God. Your brain. It's about your brain. Just like
it's about chemicals in your brain.
Yeah, there's chemical imbalances, or whatever. But you wouldn't tell your family member that's getting ready to die from diabetes to just pray and have faith. No, you would tell them to get the insulin, or whatever it is. You don't tell the diabetic patient to just pray harder or have more faith. That's not what happens. So I'm going to stop there, because that's usually the lead into my tangent. Oh. So you know what that means. You know what time it is. Everybody start getting your questions. Start getting your questions into the chat. And if you want your questions to be at the tippity top, use that super chat button at the bottom. It is active. And you can ask a question for Chico, myself, Ben. Well, Steve will be asking, but Steve and Jeff might jump in if he's able. But start getting those in there. And what I love is, we it's typically the deal here on the round table, but we have a bunch of people that love to be open and talk and help other people. So if you're somebody that is struggling, you have questions, ask them. You have some folks here that want to help. And I will pause here, Chico, if you don't mind, and say that if you go to tart.live, there is a drop down that says TART helps, and there is a text number that you can text if you just need to talk shit, vent, get something off your chest. We're there for that. Those individuals, they're not professionals. They're there simply to just listen. And they're not there to give you any diagnosis, anything like that, because sometimes we just need to talk shit and get it off our chest. So if you need that, it's there, and it's completely anonymous. You can text from whatever number, and it's all set up to where it's anonymous. We don't know who is or is not texting. It's just there to help. And we've set up one or two different programs to where if you do need professional help, we can get it at a very, very reasonable rate to where most people can still afford it and get professional help. And it is true secular therapists. They're not Christians. They're not theists.
Awesome.
They are secular therapists. So you don't have to worry about them trying to turn you into Christian or praying for you or putting, anointing oil on your forehead or, any of that crazy shit like that. So I wanted to make sure we said that because I felt like that was deserving there. But I just want to say one more time because I saw a few new names pop up in the chat. Again, Chico, first and foremost, glad you're here, glad you're healthy, glad you're happy and alive and hanging out at the Atheist Roundtable tonight. And and then secondary to that, thank you for being loyal to what we do and our content and always being here to support. And that means, that means the world to us. So thank you. Thank you for that. And I'm going to ask this now. I was going to say this for my last question, but I think I'm going to ask this now because it might, this one might stretch out a little bit because I think you and I can kind of bounce off of each other on this one. Chico, if there's somebody right now that find themselves in the same place you were years ago, I was years ago, where it's like, okay, I'm at a crossroad and what's real, what's not real. And all of a sudden I find myself becoming more and more skeptical of this God thing, this religious thing that I've been raised on and has been pumped into my brain. Chico, and take your time, man. No, I'm not going to put a cap on you. Take your time. What advice, what tips, what coaching would you give to those folks that are trying to transition and escape religion?
Yeah. If you're like me and you're stuck at any question in life and you want the answer, don't just stay there. Go find it. There's, several sources. Grumpy's listed a few, freedom from religion. What's the other one? Gosh dang it. There you go. Whatever. Grumpy's got me. Find the answer to your question. Go look at different sources. Go to what the Christians say. Go to what the Muslims say. Go to what the atheists say. For me, it was the atheist experience. Any call-in show, you literally can call an atheist. Call Jeff. Talk to him. He'll talk to you. There's so many outlets. Just find the answer, question that answer. Once you got the answer to that, keep questioning, just refine it down. That's what having a strong epistemology should look like. You should be critical thinking. If that's what you care about, that's what I care about. I try to promote other people to care about that. It's very important. And yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my 2 cents, I guess.
And all of those from a reaching out perspective, you're dead on. You're dead on. I guess the last question I'll ask on that before I share my little 2 pennies on it is the internal thoughts because the external actions that follow up, those are easy to coach people to, like, call this person, text this person,
Right.
Those things are easy to give direction on. What I'm trying to elicit a little more is those moments when you're alone, because especially if you're somebody that deals with depression, anxiety, anything like that. Like I know I do. I won't speak for anybody else. It was those internal moments that I had to start finding a grounding on, because I was losing my identity. Right, I was literally losing my identity. This is who I was for 30 something years.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I always try to do in those alone moments was, okay, let's bring it back down. Let's bring it back down to real world. Have I ever, and this is just me talking it through on my own. Have I ever met this God? No. Have I ever met the Holy Spirit? No. Have I ever met the devil? No. Okay. Let's take a deep breath. Let's take a deep breath. Now let's go back through it, and then let's look for evidence. Let's look for facts. And that's actually what drove a lot of my study. Was at the end of it, it's like, okay, now let's look. Now let's study. After I grounded myself, so those practical things that sounds simple, but when you start getting those racing thoughts, when you've been tormented your entire life with, well, no, if you die right now, you're going to go to hell. You have to find a way to center that or ground that, and your brain not go fucking haywire. So did you have anything like that, Chico?
No, I would just agree with what you said, and it can be very tricky, especially when you're stuck in a religion that doesn't want you to question things. And when you start to question things, you have this immense amount of guilt and shame, which is just those are just very toxic feelings to have and can really hold you back. But I would just encourage anyone listening, but any theist specifically, if your God, an all-loving God, gave you a mind that has critical thinking, has logic built in, and you're not supposed to ask questions, you're not supposed to seek out him, you're not supposed to find evidence, you're not supposed to have a sound epistemology, you're not supposed to have a good worldview. That God is not worth following. That God's not worth worshiping. That's questions. Question everything. Good ideas, question them. Bad ideas, question them. It can be tough, and especially with religious trauma and depression that goes along with it. Like it can literally be paralyzing. Like you're just stuck. You're sitting on your bed and you're in your head, and you almost don't even want to breathe. I've been there. I just encourage you to fight through it, and don't be afraid to look for answers. Like I don't know what else to say. It's a tough situation to be in, because religion has these kind of fail-safe devices where it keeps trapping you, and that's just Stockholm syndrome, and that's the cult programming. That's what they do. That's what it is.
Yeah, and it goes back to the Seth Andrews clip that I put on my TikTok the other day, where you look at God and how God, as far as the Christian Bible is concerned, how it relates to his creation. If it does not sum up that of an abusive relationship, you're not actually seeking truth. You are indoctrinated, you are blinded, and you don't want to know the truth. You just want to believe so bad that you want to believe. That's what it is. Because
Absolutely.
when you break it down to pure logic, pure reason, and you read the book and the text for what it says, and you're not, and we're not doing this, well, you're taking it out of context and yada yada. No, I don't care what your context is. When we're talking about abuse, we're talking about abuse. I don't care what your context is. So this is the last thing I'll say, and this is more practical advice. And I actually reached out to a gentleman on TikTok today, a fellow atheist, and I try to, when I see somebody that I feel like is hurting, I try to go out of my way to message them, and even if I can't private message them, try to find a way, like, is there emails or is there some way that I can be in contact, with this person? And this is what I shared with this gentleman today or yesterday. And this is practical. This has nothing to do with religion. If, especially, we have, quarantines and lockdowns, and we have all this shit going on right now. And some people might just be alone, single, alone in an apartment or whatever. And you find yourself in that spot. There's just some very simplistic things that they're not remedies. They just help to supplement, I guess is the word I'd try to use. Find the happiest music that you can find and listen to it. Find the happiest, comedic movies or YouTube channels or whatever. Find things that make you fucking smile. Yeah. Find those things. So and find the people around you that put a smile on your face. And if it's not around you because we're on quarantine, there's plenty of people on TikTok. And if you can't find one, guess what? You go to the website, and it's Austin at TART.live. If you need a smile on your face and you need somebody to just be a jackass and a dumbass and put a smile on your face, I'm qualified to be a dumbass and put a smile on your face. But those are just some practical things, especially in the environment we're living in right now. That it's not all about the religion and theism and atheism. Just how do we make each other smile right now? How do we help each other get through the next day right now? And for some people, that's the most important fucking thing. So again, Chico, I appreciate your input on that, man. And everything you said was spot on, dead on. And before we go to the next segment, and I'm not even going to hint to it yet, but Chico, one last time, how do our subscribers, our listeners, our followers, how do they find you? Where do they find you on the interwebs?
On the interwebs, I'm Atheist Chico on TikTok, Atheist Chico on Twitch, and Tam and Chico, where I do react videos on YouTube with the Atheist Mom. That's Tam and Chico.
Perfect. And you can find the Atheist Mom on TikTok as well.
Yes, you can.
At the Atheist Mom. It's shocking, but you can find her there at the Atheist Mom. It's pretty simple.
You'll know it's her when you see green hair. That's when you know you've arrived at the right spot.
No, I appreciate it. And there's one thing I have to ask you, Chico. Have you ever in real life met a murderer that just always has a pipe hanging out of his mouth?
Not a pipe. I have been to prison, but not a pipe. I was put in a prison section where I was with the nice people, even the nicer murderers, but never a pipe. So I hope you're not about to do anything. Just
so you know, you're getting ready to meet the most notorious murderer alive.
Well, everybody. So I was inspired by the Bible today. I've been doing a lot of hard work lately, and I read in you should rest on the Sabbath. Now, rational Christians tell me that the Sabbath is on Sundays, so that. But in my pursuit of easiness today, in my pursuit of rest, I ordered a pizza for dinner. I realized that person was working today. So I did the Lord's work, and I got to say, it really worked out for me. I saved a lot on the tip. Hi, everybody.
Did you see how happy he was skipping on that video with the axe and hiding behind the tree? He's a little too happy. I don't know.
It gives me great joy and pleasure to do what I do.
As a man who loves his work. Yes. Very good, sir.
Indubitably. So I have a question from Pastor Joan.
Oh, God.
Chico, what is the nicest thing that you can say about Christianity? And I gotta say, we can stay away from necrophilia. That would be great. Anything besides necrophilia.
Well, that was my first choice. So I guess my second choice, I would have to say, I would say Christianity, but just religion in general. Community. They're very good at having a community. That's very important. I think that's something that lacks a lot of times in the secular environment. But I would say community for sure. But as far as like their theology, I don't really have. I don't have one.
Maybe art.
Well, I feel like.
Sure. Yeah. I'll throw them the art one.
Music.
Yeah. Go ahead. Art.
Yeah.
Christian music?
They did pay the best for the best music. You know.
When we go from community to art, you know your organization is bullshit.
True. Facts.
Well, they do like to, create a community that helps spread their religion in a very nice way, especially in new countries. When they get to new countries, they always spread their joy and happiness in wonderful
very
ways.
True. I was quite fond of the Crusades. That was a high note for sure.
It helps keep global warming down.
Right. They were doing us all a big favor if you really think about it.
Well, and you really look out for that global cooling, of overcompensating for global warming. You're supposed to be like talking about how stupid I am right now
Question.
for those statements.
No,
Cat the Humanist has a question.
It's much. Hold on, Steve. It's much better when you just stare in the camera and we're all like, "What the fuck is he thinking right now?"
Also, Pastor John's not allowed to ask questions on our show unless it's a super chat at this point. He's got too many freebies.
That's fair,
Yeah,
and we know that he's balling out on that youth pastor month.
Nope. Jeff just made a great fucking point. Pastor John, you don't get to ask shit. I mean, you can ask it. It's just not going to get presented. If you don't do a super chat, you shit ain't getting questioned.
No free lunches here, buddy.
Your answers are not going to get questioned.
We're not homeschooling.
Sorry.
God damn it.
Cat the Humanist would like to know, still have concerns about hell sometimes?
I will say at the beginning of coming out as an atheist, for sure. But it got to the point where I'd heard, several other people, especially on the atheist experience, saying, "How afraid were you of those other religions' hells?" Well, not at all. So why should you be any more afraid of this one? Oh, okay. Yep. And for me, that was easy. That did it. For other people, I know it's a lot harder because that indoctrination can be a bitch. But for me, that's what it was.
Right. So I'm what Oz would call a cradle atheist, right? I've
Yes.
never.
It's because you look like a child. Yes.
Indeed. A very handsome young baby. And speaking of which, I thought that you were going to be wearing that new beard tonight. But I'm seeing, that kind of behavior can get you a one-way ticket to the Murdershed really quick. And he didn't even hear that, which is perfect. So, in any case, as a cradleist, I've had moments in life where there it is. Much better.
What is happening? What happened? The beard muted his mic.
The beard got angry. Anyway.
No, Jeff, you could, real quick, if you could pop that last question back up there, in regards to hell.
Hold on, I'll grab it.
I'm sorry, Steve. Steve, that's your it's Q&A. My bad.
I'm in charge right now.
My bad.
And if you don't like it,
I like that the video where we got the baby that says "I didn't poop," and that's what this reminds me about.
So why Chico's figuring out his mic ordeal here? Because the the Christians, like John, are trying to silence him right now. That's what they're doing.
They're
But
praying about it.
Do you still have concerns about hell? And I know even, Jeff sometimes shares that his fear was actually having to go to heaven for eternity, right? That was his fear. But for hell, it's fewer and fewer and far between now. But Kat, I went years that the thought of hell literally scared the fuck out of me, and I would have nightmares. And literally had to talk to a therapist about it because it fucked with me so bad that I lost sleep. I lost fucking sleep. And I already have insomnia, so I don't need any other issues that are fucking up my sleep. So that whole thing, and you have Christians that try to and I am becoming more and more aggressive about this. I find, but I think it's right. I think I have a right stance in it because it fucks up people's brains. It literally fucks up their brains that you tell them that they're going to go to hell if they don't do A, B, and C, right? So no, for those of you that are growing up in that and you're around that, run and find the people that can help you exit that bullshit, because we have no reason to believe hell is real. We have no good reason to believe heaven is real. Run from that shit and try to find the closest thing, the truth that you can, which is not an afterlife, an eternity, in heaven or hell.
You can hear me now? All right.
Yeah, he's back. And I was also going to say, as a cradle atheist who never necessarily believed in a particular God or hell, I still had nightmares sometimes of hell. I still experienced, fear of demons here and there, even without necessarily believing in them. But the what if type stuff, that Pascal's wager bullshit that they just fucking shove down your throat all the time. As an atheist,
Steve, what if you're wrong and I'm right? And now when people say that, fuck you.
Oz, what if vampires are real?
I still protect my goddamn neck
outside your door right now, just because vampires might be real. It's possible.
Of course.
So surround yourself with garlic, please.
Can I just say, if we say, what if global warming is real? No, it's not. No.
What if I had $1 million?
I've been saying that for a while, actually. You bring up a really good point. Why don't we use Pascal's wager for COVID? Why don't we use Pascal's wager for global warming? But we use Pascal's wager for something that has no evidence.
What if all you Christians, what if COVID is real? What if it's real?
What if wearing your mask is a good thing? What if?
What if?
I don't know.
What if your book is wrong?
It is quite the slight inconvenience to wear one. Trust me, I know. I wear one every day.
It is a slight inconvenience.
Unless you're a bank robber, this is going to be like heaven for them.
It's like the slightest of inconvenience. I can't even do it.
All right, so
I've got
a medical condition.
Steve, go to the next one.
I have more questions. I've got one here from No Hair Mama Bear. And here we go. Do you think if you had become an atheist sooner, it would have made your time in prison easier?
This is a great question, and I failed to tell this in the story. My prison or my court case that eventually ended me up in prison took about, I want to say, 2 years to complete. So by that time, I had already been an atheist. So I went into prison as an atheist. It made it easier. It made it more frustrating because most of the time, and there's stats to back this up, you go to prison, you come out believing something. I remember going to jail because they'll send you to jail first before they transfer you to the prison that you're going to. And I got in with the guy who, he was a theist, but he didn't really, it was kind of like, yeah, there's probably something out there. But we were both on the shock probation, 6 months, 10 years probation. And we got separated, went to different prisons, and then they bring you back to the jail before they release you back. And by the time he got back, he got a tattoo with a cross and all this stuff. And he's, I'm a Bible Jesus man, blah, blah, blah. So, it's it's very much that was the frustrating part about it. But no, it was being an atheist in there was.
How vulnerable did you feel at that time?
I was pretty vulnerable. I was.
So do you think that like if that gentleman had gone in and maybe he was put into a cell for his time in prison with someone who was a very good Muslim, do you think he would have come out of that prison a Muslim?
I don't know. I don't know.
Or what if he like got paired up with a Scientologist?
Yeah. I think. Well, he was kind of already in the mindset of some kind of I don't know, Yahweh religion. So I guess Christianity. I think he might have grown up Catholic, but he kind of just said it's kind of there's probably a God. But by the time it was done, he was full blown, born again, praise Jesus, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was.
Speaking
frustrating.
in tongues, maybe?
No.
Oh.
Not in that area. I'm sure there. I mean, I live in Texas, so it's down here somewhere, but I don't see too much of that.
I was about to say, Southern Baptists don't get down like the Midwest evangelicals. Like,
From Africa.
oh, y'all don't know. I'm working on a beat. I'm working on a beat with old girl. I get from Africa. From Africa.
That's gonna be great. You gotta put that on TikTok, all of us to use.
I'm gonna make that goddamn fucking shit viral.
So I've got one question that popped up here in the chat. Where can we find you? This is from Murdershed Steve.
I'm glad you said that because I haven't mentioned it yet, like at least twice already. But I can be found on TikTok at Atheist Chico, Twitch at Atheist Chico, and I am part of Tam and Chico on YouTube.
So I think that Murdershed Steve was actually referring to something a little bit different. Where can we find you? Thank.
Where can we find you? So, Chico, there's a couple of things I want to say to wrap up tonight. But before we do, you've already shared at least 2.5, 3.5 times now where they can find you. So we won't do that again. But in closing, is there anything that you would like to share with anybody that's listening, either coming out of religion or has come out that we haven't already talked about? Anything you'd like to say before we close?
Well, no, I want to thank you guys for letting me have this opportunity. I love you guys' show. Totally support what you guys are doing. I hope that you guys grow to be bigger and better than you are now. I'm sure you guys will. You have a great platform here, great group of people besides Grumpy. Anyways, and also I throw shade at Grumpy all the time. So that's I love Grumpy. But just try to find out what a sound epistemology looks like and what the best methodology is out there. Once you have it, and if that's something you're passionate about, go and find someone else who's also passionate about, and mash them together, and iron sharpens iron. Make it stronger, make it better. Question everything, and I don't know. That's, I guess, my final thoughts.
No, and again, thank you, Chico. Thank you. You were awesome tonight. You kicked ass tonight.
Thank you.
Not that we expected anything less, but it was you even over delivered. To what the normal expectation is on the episode, as far as just being raw and transparent and real and all that. And if I can be honest, the show kind of took a different direction than I thought it was going to take. I thought it was going to be a lot of fun and laughing, but we actually dealt with some real life shit, which I love. I love and appreciate that. So before we close, I want to make sure one more time, if we can get that the hotline popped up on the bottom there for me one more time. But the National Suicide Prevention hotline, that's one of the hotlines, and there's so many other places or resources that you can go to or find to help if you're needing some type of help. Seculartherapyproject.org.
Yep.
There's so many things, and even just a very, very small little piece of this puzzle. TART helps at tartlive.com, or I'm sorry, tart.live. You can go there, and we have a TART helps segment of our page where you can text and talk, or we can help you find a secular therapist at a very, very reasonable rate, even if you don't have insurance. So we want to help. We get it. Like when you're leaving, when you're leaving a lifestyle that you have been, and really right now, I think I'm talking to the people that grew up in it, that you've been spoon fed and force fed this dogma, this religion, this faith, and you've been force fed those things. It's the only thing that you know to believe, because that's what you were told to believe. And when you start to separate yourself from it, there are very, very many moments or evenings of loneliness and emptiness, and you don't know your own identity anymore. So you need to be able to have people to talk to, and outlets and organizations to talk to. So we want to provide as many of those as possible. But for everybody that hung out with us and talked to us in the chat tonight, we appreciate you. For everybody that put in the super chats and asked questions, we appreciate it. We love the support and the outpouring you guys give us. And in closing, this is the Atheist Roundtable. We'll be on with Shannon Q tomorrow. We'll rock it. And thank you again, Chico. You are a rock star tonight, and we'll see y'all tomorrow night. Peace out.